You're still under oath, sir?
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, my lady. Mr. Pistorius, yesterday, the last part of your evidence dealt with you entering the toilet. Can you start from there? And if it's possible to speak up, Mr. Pistorius, and maybe lean a bit forward.
My lady, after I entered the toilet, I knelt down over Reva. She was sitting with her weight on top of the toilet bowl. I checked to see if she was breathing, and she wasn't, and I put my arms underneath her shoulders and I pulled her weight onto me, and I sat there crying for some time. I had her head on my left shoulder, and I could feel the blood was running down on me. At a point, I heard her breathing, so I immediately put her weight on top of me, and I swiveled around. I sat back with my bum against the floor and my back up against the wall where the door is on the left-hand side of the door, and I pulled her weight on me, and I turned around so that I could get her to the door of the toilet so that I could pick her up. I could see that her arm was broken. I placed her in the I couldn't pick her up, but I kind of was on my knees and on one of my feet, and I was pulling her into the bathroom. I placed her down. I pulled one of the bathroom carpets closer, and I placed her head down softly on the carpet. I saw that her cell phone was in the toilet, so I grabbed her cell phone and I tried to phone off it, but it had a passcode on it that I couldn't access. I ran back to my bedroom where my phone was, next to the left-hand side of the bed. And both my phones were there. I picked them up and I ran back to Reva. I then phoned Mr. Stander, Johann Stander, who was a gentleman who lived in the estate, somebody that I'd become a friend with. I phoned him to ask him for help, to help me come and help. I couldn't pick Reva up. I was struggling to pick her up.
We know from the records, Mr. Pistorius, that call was 3/19/03.
That's correct, my lady.
That's the record ZZ8.
Did you say ZZ8?
ZZ8, my lady.
8.
Double Z8.
Thank you.
I was trying to pick Reva up, but I couldn't pick her up. I was scared that I hurt her more, so I pulled her arm over onto her body, and I was trying to pick her up.
If I may just stop you there, Mr. Pistorius. I see from the records at 3:20:05 you phoned 911. When?
That's correct, my lady.
Could you tell the court about that?
I was trying to pick Reva up, and I didn't really know what to do. I could see that she was breathing. She's struggling to breathe. I phoned 911 or 8 Netken. I don't recall speaking to the operator, but I remember him telling me that I needed to get Reva to the hospital, that I mustn't wait for him.
I also see from the records at 3:21:33 you phoned security. A call lasting 9 seconds.
That's correct, my lady. I don't remember phoning the security though, but from the phone records I see that there was a call made from my cell phone to the security. I think it was after I got off the phone with the Netcare 911 call centre, I ran downstairs to open the front door. I could barely pick Reva up. I wouldn't have been able to open the doors and carry her, so I opened my bedroom door, and I opened the front door. I then ran back up to my room, and on the way into my room I tried to force the door open. There's two doors to my bedroom, my lady. The one I use just locks with the key, and then the other one's got a latch at the top and at the bottom. So I ran into the door, and it didn't break open, and I unlatched the bottom latch, and when I unlatched the bottom latch, the door opened. The house, all the doors at the bottom of the house and most of the doors at the top are double doors. If one door is open, you can walk through it, but I got the doors made so that the house is wheelchair friendly. So if you want to have a wider passage, you have to open both the doors. I then went back to the bathroom, and I picked Reva up. I don't recall carrying her some of the way, but I remember getting to second flight of stairs, and Mr. Stander and his daughter, Miss Stander, arrived. At that point, I was shouting and screaming for him to help me get her to the hospital. When I got down to the bottom of the flight of stairs, either Mr. Stander or Carice Stander told me to put Reva down. They said that the ambulance was on its way. Before I put her down, I said to them that we need to get to the hospital. We need to get to the hospital. And they said just put her down. The ambulance is on its way. And then I just sat there with her and I waited for the ambulance to arrive, and I felt helpless. I wanted to take her to the hospital. I had my fingers in her mouth to help her try breathe. I had my hand on her hip. I was trying to stop the bleeding.
Who was with you at that time?
Mr. Stander and Miss Stander were at my house at that time, my lady.
Could you explain the presence of plastic bags at the scene?
I was trying to hold Reva's hip with my hand to put pressure on it so that it stopped bleeding as much. Miss Stander asked me if I had any tape or any rope or anything like that, so that she could tie Reva's tie her arm so that it wouldn't bleed as much. I don't remember if I went to collect there's a cabinet in my pantry that's got all the type of utility things one would use in a house, like tape and bags and things. So I don't know if I went and fetched them or if Miss Stander went and fetched them.
Did you do anything with the bags?
I don't remember, my lady.
Did the paramedics arrive at the scene? Or first Dr. Stipp? Which one?
There was a person that arrived at the house. Carice came in and she said to me that there's a doctor, and I immediately felt relieved. I looked up and I saw a person walk into my house who was later... I later found out it was Dr. Stipp. I still don't remember his face or what he looked like, but he came in the house, and I remember me crying for him to help me, for him to help Reva. He didn't seem like he knew what he was doing. He didn't seem like he seemed overwhelmed by the situation. Everything he told me to do, I was already doing. I was already trying to stop the bleeding. I was already trying to help Reva breathe. He kneeled down on her right hand side for a couple of minutes, I think, and then I don't remember seeing him again. He walked outside, and he was outside. I was shouting for him to come back in the house and help me, but the paramedics then arrived. They asked for some space to work, so I stood up.
Did you remain there, or did you go somewhere else? Can you remember going to the kitchen?
Reva had already died whilst I was holding her before the ambulance arrived, so I knew that there was nothing that they could do for her.
Did you at some stage go to the kitchen?
I stood back when they arrived, and I stood a couple of meters away from them to open plan home. So I stood at the couple of meters away where the dining room and the kitchen kind of meet. And then the lady paramedic came to me, and she said to me that she'd like to inform me that Reva has passed. The paramedic asked me for identification, if there was some form of ID. So I went and I got Reva's handbag it was in my bedroom. I didn't go through her handbag. I just simply picked up her, walked into the room and got her handbag and brought it out. Miss Thunder was waiting there and on the first floor outside my room, and I gave the handbag to her.
Could you move a little bit forward, if you don't mind, Mr. Pistorius?
I then went with Miss Thunder downstairs to where the paramedics were. I sat in the kitchen on the floor crying. against there's an island in the kitchen serving counter, and I sat there. And then I don't know how much time passed, but at that point, some police officers arrived shortly thereafter.
Do you know who it was?
It was. There were two officers. They weren't dressed in police clothing. They were dressed in civilian clothing. I think the one officer had shorts on, and the other one, they were just both casually dressed. And then it was Colonel van Rensburg who arrived at I think more or less the same time. He came up to me and he introduced himself. I was at that point unable to speak with him. I was just sitting on the floor crying. Some time had passed, and a police officer asked me to just stay in the kitchen. I saw the one police officer was standing nearby at the bottom of the stairs. Another police officer asked me if there was anybody else in the house, and I just motioned to him that there wasn't. He proceeded to check the bottom of the home. He then went upstairs, and then he came downstairs. I didn't have my head up much, and I wasn't in sight of the staircase, but at times I couldn't sit, at times I stood up, and every time I looked up there were more people in the house, there were more policemen. There were people going up and down the stairs. I was standing in the kitchen against the where the far side of the kitchen is away from the dining room, where there's a prep bowl, small sink, and I asked a policeman if I may wash my hands because the smell of the blood was making me throw up. And he said he'd ask, and Mr. van Rensburg, or Colonel van Rensburg, came back to me and he said to me I may wash my hands. I don't remember washing my chest, I just remember washing my hands and washing my face. At that point I was still standing in the kitchen, and I saw Mr. Hilton Botha arrive. He came in straight from the front door up to me. He asked me if I remember him. He immediately went from where I was, he went upstairs. He came downstairs some time later. At the time I was in the kitchen, I couldn't look around the corner because every time I saw Reva, I got sick. So I stayed more inside the kitchen. At a time I went and I sat in the pantry against the washing machine.
And you remember the photographer arriving?
I was still in the kitchen. For some time, and Mr. Buerta came downstairs. When he went up the second time, Colonel van Rensburg came up to me. He said to me that he put his hand on my shoulder and he said to me that I didn't have to speak to anyone, but I need to go to the garage. They'd like to take some photos. There'd be a police photographer there. I think the same officer that was standing at the bottom of the staircase, he followed me with Mr. van Rensburg to the garage. There was a police officer that stayed in the garage the whole time. I think it was the same gentleman who was at the bottom of the staircase. And I was in the garage for several hours. I asked the police photographer if he could just please take all the photos he needed so I could take my clothes off because they were all just stained.
And from the garage, where did you go to?
From the garage, I was taken to the foyer or the reception area of my home, and a police officer, surnamed Labuskachny, came up to me. He introduced himself. He told me that he was a friend of a family member of mine, and that I didn't have anything to worry about. He was there to look after me. It was at that point that Colonel van Rensburg said to me that because I was the only person in the house that they are going to charge me. He charged me at the time. He said to me that I was under arrest. I walked with Mr. Labuskachny to the car that was waiting in my driveway with two other officers. One officer sat next to me to my right in the vehicle, and another officer was driving the vehicle. Mr. Labuskachny sat on the front left-hand side of the car. As we were leaving my estate, Mr. Labuskachny said to me that there was a lot of media waiting outside, that I should put my head down. He said to me that he would tell me if at any point there was somebody that he thought was following us or was taking photos, that I should put my head down, and he'll tell me so. My head was down anyway. I was leaning forward, just crying. I didn't want to speak to anyone. I didn't really follow where we were driving to, but I realized we'd got to an academic hospital in Mamelodi when we arrived there. I was taken inside a reception area, and a doctor introduced himself to me. I don't recall his name, but we were there for some time, and he conducted various tests and samples and things like that.
Mr. Pistorius asked Captain McGenna to bring the cricket bat today. Whilst he's fetching the cricket bat, what I want you to do is to demonstrate to the court, but please don't hit the door, but the actions followed by you, the body actions followed by you in trying and breaking open the door. Will you do that? In the meantime, I see from Exhibit ZZ8 that at 3:55, close to 4 o'clock, there was a call to Mr. Tavares. Can you tell the court about that?
Miss Stander asked me if she should phone anyone. I don't remember if I spoke to Mr. Tavares or not, but I know that she contacted him. I think she also contacted my agent, who I'm very close with and spend a lot of time with throughout the year. I think she also phoned my brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you phone any lawyer?
No, I didn't, my lady.
Mr. Pistorius, you're going to demonstrate the door, but the evidence of Colonel Vermeulen was that you were standing on your stumps when you hit the toilet door with your cricket bat. What do you say about that?
I can barely stand on my stumps, let alone yield a bat. My lady, on my stumps. I was wearing my prosthetic legs.
In relation to time, if I may take you through times that we could establish by virtue of the telephone records. We know there was a time 3:17 where witnesses, there's a variation, but where if I look at Dr. Stipp's evidence and Mrs. Stipp's evidence, where they heard the sound, 3 sounds, doof, 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 which to them resembled firearms shots. And then we know at 3:19, approximately 2 minutes later, you made a call to Mr. Stander.
That's correct, my lady.
Do you have any idea, on your version, the 3 sounds, what would that represent at 3:17?
My lady, I've 3 sounds would have been the cricket bat hitting the door. Obviously listen to Dr. Stipp and Mrs. Stipp's evidence, whereby they said shortly before they phoned 10111, they saw, he told her that he'd seen a man walk from right to left in the bathroom.
We'll get to that point. I'm first dealing, I'm sorry that I interrupted, we'll come back to that point specifically. But it's a 3:17, you say, were you walking in the bathroom shortly before you hit the cricket bat?
Yes, my lady, I was walking through the bathroom when I went to go and kick the door, when I went to go and fetch the cricket bat. I was walking through the bathroom with my prosthetic legs on.
Dr. Stipp and Mrs. Stipp also gave evidence about prior shots. Do you hear that in court?
I did, my lady.
What would that have been?
That would have been me firing my pistol, my lady.
Now, if you can at all draw a timeline, I know it's difficult according to Dr. Stipp, he's talking about moments, but we have the notes of Mr. Johnson saying that he heard the screaming about 3:12. And then he also made a call at 3:16 and for 58 seconds, and shortly thereafter he had further shots. So we know that that is the same as the 3:17 of Dr. Stipp. Now, he's referring to 3:12 approximately, also approximately, that he woke up. What would you say in time? How long before you hit the cricket bat, more or less, that you fired a shot?
My lady, I've marked out a distance that I've walked on my stumps, that I remembered, as far as I can remember, how fast I walked, how fast I could walk. It was about 5 minutes before I hit the door with the cricket bat that I fired my weapon.
Would that more or less be consistent with Mr. Johnson's evidence or his notes about 3:12?
It would be consistent with Mr. Johnson's notes.
Now, what do you say about Dr. Stipp's evidence? And let's think away Mrs. Berger's evidence, talking about minutes, and think away the 3:12 of the notes of Mr. Johnson from the time hearing the screaming till the 3:17. What do you say about Dr. Stipp's evidence that it was so quick from the time that he heard the first shots? He was referring to moments going out of bed quickly, onto the balcony, and back into the room and making a call to 1-111. What do you say about that?
It can't be. It physically can't be that amount of time, my lady. If you look at the phone calls that were made from many of the witnesses that gave statements that weren't used in the state's case, and you look at all the times that the calls were made, out of many facts, it points to 5 minutes between the sounds, the first sounds and the second sounds.
Mr. Pistorius, the bat is there. I want you to do 2 demonstrations. The first one, there's evidence or statements put on your behalf of a prosthetic print on the door caused by you kicking the door. You gave evidence about you kicking the door, and Colonel Vermeulen's real response to that is that he did not know how high you can kick. So please don't kick the door, but just if you would not mind to go to the door and show how high you can lift your prosthesis in a kicking motion.
My lady, would you like me to do the cricket bat and the kick?
You can first do the kick and then we'll do the cricket bat. I would just describe the first action or demonstration. Unfortunately, I could not say. I would just ask someone.
Sorry.
If you can just point to where you made contact about. It is just above the door knob, it seems to me, my lady, in height.
Mr. Nell?
Indeed, my lady, it's just above the door handle.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that correct, Mr. Pistorius? If you can just get back to the microphone. You don't have to sit down because you're going to walk back again.
That's correct, my lady.
Now, I want you to demonstrate to the court how you would have handled the cricket bat in hitting the door, but please don't hit the door, just show the motion.
Well, lady, I will do that. So, I watched the demonstrations that's been done on this door. To say that it's an unnatural motion to swing a bat in a certain way is very true. It's not. When breaking down a door, you don't swing in a natural way. You're trying to break the door with as much force. If you looked at a game of golf, you don't hit a ball with a natural swing, but you do it in order to get to an objective. My way I swung at the door was I used my entire body. It's very hard for me to demonstrate now in a passive way of how I broke down the door, but I will do so. And
we will know there will also be expert evidence about that. Thank you. Could you demonstrate it? Could you tell the court what you demonstrated?
My lady, I was demonstrating how I hit the door.
You took the bat back towards your back and forward, a forward movement.
That's correct, my lady.
And the height was more or less where that sticker is.
It was more or less, my lady, but if you stand further from the door, although it's not following an arc, the cricket bat would hit the door lower the further back you stand. I don't remember how close I was standing to the door.
How hard did you hit the door?
I hit the door with all my might, my lady.
Can you remember if you remained in one position? You said it was approximately three times that you hit the door. Can you remember if you remained in the same position?
I doubt I remained in the same position, my lady. I had socks on my prosthetic legs at the time. I was standing on a tiled floor. The amount of force I was swinging the bat, I don't think any one of the three shots would have been similar.
I then want to take you to photo 920. Mr. Pistorius, we are going to deal with the state witnesses not called by the state.
I understand.
Could you identify your house? And I would ask the assistants that there's a little circle when you point out the position. That's in fact to make it easy. There's a red arrow and it says Oscar's house.
That's correct, my lady.
Then we see there's a house number 285, your next door neighbor. Facing your house, your next door neighbor to the right.
That's correct, my lady. If you look at my house from the street to the right is number 285. My neighbour is known to me as Kenny or Kenneth.
We know his surname is Mr. Mochwane.
That's correct, my lady.
We also know, if so far as his statement is the truth, that it makes reference to crying and not to a woman screaming.
That's correct, my lady.
Can you share with the court your relationship with Mr. Mochwane?
Well, Mr. Mochwane has been staying, we moved, if I remember correctly, we both moved into the estates in 2008 in the beginning, when the estate was still being developed. I gave him some trees as a welcoming gift.
Apart from that contact with him, any other contact with him?
On the odd occasion, his children are playing in the street in the afternoon, and I drive by and I greet him. And sometimes, if I come back from a period where I've been of absence for a long time, then I'll stop and chat to him. But we just have just my neighbour. I don't know him very well.
Ever been to his house?
No, my lady.
Apart from when you gave him the gift, the welcoming gift.
I've never been inside his home.
You weren't inside, I'm sorry. Has he ever been to your house?
No, he's never been to my home, my lady.
His wife, do you know her?
Hi.
Mrs. Mochoane?
I don't know his wife, my lady.
If her statement is correct, she also did not hear a woman screaming as a next door neighbour.
That's correct, my lady.
Have you ever met her?
I don't think I've formally met her, my lady. I've greeted her on several occasions, but I've never met her.
Now let's look at the house number 287. That's your neighbour on the other side.
That's correct, my lady.
It is Mr. Nsling Getwa.
That's correct, my lady.
Do you know him?
I do know him, my lady.
If his statement is to be believed, he did not hear a woman screaming.
That's correct, my lady.
He heard crying, but not that he described as a man crying, but not a woman screaming.
That's correct, my lady.
How do you know him?
We had the same developer who built our homes. At the time of my house getting finished, I arrived one afternoon and he was having a look at my house, at the furnishings and things.
Could you speak up a little bit if you don't mind, Mr. Pistorius?
I beg your pardon, my lady. I met Mike when my house was busy getting, when they were finishing the building on my home. He came over to come and have a look at some of the finishes, to talk to the building contractor, to look at what he was going to do in his home. We spoke briefly. Several months later, once his home was finished and he moved in, we saw that we both had a passion for motor vehicles. We'd chat in the driveway sometimes in the afternoon when I got home late from training about cars. He became a good neighbour to me. I don't know him on a social level, but we chat often. He'd often, if I was leaving my house, I would reverse out my driveway, and if I saw him in his driveway, I'd reverse a little bit further and just greet him. And if he came past my house, even if he was in a rush, he'd get out and greet me as well.
Has he ever come to your house for a social event?
No, my lady.
Have you ever gone to his house for a social event?
I've been in his home when they were developing his home, but I've never been there on a social event.
His bedroom window in relation to your bathroom window, where is that?
My bathroom window is, if you look at this picture on the right hand side of my house, it's facing west. Mike's bedroom also faced west.
Are you sure it's west? Could you maybe demonstrate on the photograph where your bathroom window is, and just ask the photographer to make it a little more.
My bathroom window is no, that's not it. Further up. Correct, it's below there. And Mike's bedroom window is higher up. Correct. There we go.
Well, let me make it easy. Are they on the same side?
They are on the same side, my lady.
Do you know his wife?
I have met his
wife.
Yes, I've met his wife. They got married a couple of years ago. Likewise, I met her on a brief interaction between him and myself. But he's better known to me as my neighbour. I greet her when she drives past my house, and on the odd occasion she'd stop and say hi, but I knew Mike far better than I knew her.
Well, if her statement were to be believed, we know two things. One, that she woke up hearing a bang, and that her husband, Mike as she referred to him, got up, and that subsequently at 3:16, meaning before the noises of 3:17, he made a phone call to security.
That's correct, my lady.
And if a statement were to be believed, she heard loud crying and not a woman screaming.
That's correct, my lady.
Do you know Mrs. Makwanazi, who works for Dr. and Mrs. Stipp?
I don't, my lady.
If her statement were to be believed, that she did not hear a woman screaming. You know about that?
I do know about that, my lady. I've read her statements. She said if I remember correctly, she only heard crying. She didn't hear screaming or shouting.
Yes. Now, you refer to one aspect that's quite important, and I will take you there. We know from, and then I want to ask you some questions about it. We know from Mrs. Stipp's evidence and in her statement that shortly before the 3:17 noises, and if I may say in brackets, the noises relied upon by the state to be the shots fired by you. You know
that's correct, my lady.
what I'm referring to?
Yes, I do, my lady.
Shortly before, because she said that she was on the balcony. Her husband told her, she initially said that she saw it, but her husband told her about the man walking from right to left in the bathroom. And she went inside, that's her evidence and statement, and she heard the three thud sounds, doof, doof, doof. So it was whenever, but we know it was relatively shortly before 3:17.
That's correct.
The man was walking. Now, Mr. Pistorius, and if you were walking in the bathroom with your legs on, would you cover the bathroom window?
My lady,
I don't understand the question.
If you walk in the bathroom with your prosthesis on,
Yes.
to what extent would you cover the window, your body cover the window?
my lady,
Be visible to cover parts of the window?
my lady, if you look at the height of the window frame, if I don't have my prosthetic legs on, I'm a lot shorter. Only my head would stick out. At most, my shoulder would be visible from the outside. In the Stipp's evidence, he went inside. He saw a man.
Not 911, 10111.
I beg your pardon, 10111. He saw a man's body move.
Not a person.
A person.
Yes.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. A person with a light complexion. Move from right to left. He would not have been able to see my torso if I didn't have my prosthetic legs on.
Now, accepting the correctness of that evidence, that could only mean one thing, and that is this: were you in the bathroom shortly, briefly before 3:17?
I was, my lady.
Accepting then that in order to see you, that you must have been on your prosthesis, what were you doing in the bathroom?
I came into the bathroom to kick the door, and then I ran to fetch the cricket bat and came back, and then I hit the door. So what they must have seen was me running from right to left to kick the door, my lady. Whereby they later, well, at that moment, they went in to phone 10111.
Now, I know it's a stupid question, and I apologize for that. But after kicking the door, did you take off your prosthetic legs in order to fire shots?
I didn't, my lady. I fired the shots without my prosthetic legs on. Afterwards, I put my prosthetic legs on and I tried to get access to the toilet and to get Reva out. The only way they would have been able to see me was if I had my prosthetic legs on at that time when they said they saw the person moving from right to left. Which means I had to have my legs on.
Mr. Pistorius, did you at any time intend to kill Reva?
I did not intend to kill Reva, my lady, or anybody else for that matter.
Lady, may I ask, just for a 5-minute adjournment, I just want to converse with Mr. Oldwage to make sure that all aspects are covered.
What religion? Yes, Mr. Roy.
Thank you for the indulgence, my lady. I have no further questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Nell.
As a good priestess, my lady. Mr. Pistorius, you were and you still are one of the most recognized faces in the world. Do you agree?
I agree, my lady.
You are a model for sportsmen, disabled and able-bodied sportsmen all over the world.
I think I was, my lady. I've made a terrible mistake, and
You made a mistake.
that's correct.
You killed a person. That's what you did, isn't it?
I made a mistake, my lady.
You killed Riva Steenkamp. That's what you did.
I made a mistake, my lady.
You're repeating it 3 times. What was your mistake?
My mistake is that I took Reva's life, my lady.
You killed her. You shot and killed her. Won't you take responsibility for that?
I did, my lady.
Now say it then. Say yes. I shot and killed Riva Steenkamp.
I did, my lady.
Okay. Now, Mr. Pistorius, you know that people will be looking up at you.
I didn't hear the question, my lady.
People look up at you as a sport hero. Is that correct?
I haven't had any, I don't check any of my media things anymore. I don't check any of my media reports. I know that a lot of people's opinions of me have changed. I know in the past people did look up to me.
Let's talk about in the past. Before you killed Riva, people look up at you.
That's correct, my lady.
And that you have a responsibility to now tell the truth. Let us get to the truth.
I think I have a responsibility for myself and Riva to tell the truth, my lady.
And you will not lie.
I'm here to tell the truth. I'm here to tell the truth as much as I can remember on that night.
And you will not hide things to the court.
I won't, my lady.
And coupled with that, you live strictly upon Christian principles.
I try to, my lady. I'm human. I make many faults. I have sins.
But
I'm a Christian because of the reason that I'm a sinner. The Lord said He came down to this world for the people that have sins. I don't always think the things I do are right.
But as a Christian, you will not lie.
I'll try not to lie, my lady. As I said, I'm human. I'm here to tell the truth.
Now let us answer this question. What is a zombie stopper?
I have no idea what a zombie stopper is.
Have you never been in the presence of any person using the word zombie stopper?
Not that I can recall, my lady.
Have you ever seen a video of yourself in the presence of people referring to a zombie stopper?
I've never seen a video of myself where someone in the video has referred to a zombie stopper as far as I can remember, my lady.
If there was such a video on Sky News showing you shooting and somebody talking about a zombie stopper, would you be surprised?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm saying I can't remember. If you can show me a video like that and I'm in the presence of that person, then I can agree with that.
Gladly. Can we show the video, please?
Lady, may I just inquire? We know the old rules pertaining to ambush. We know that we get a docket from the state with all statements and video material. Maybe the state must first tell us what this is all about in adjournment, because one thing the state cannot do is introduce evidence not forming part of the state's case. We don't know what it's all about. We may not be ambushed. We have certain constitutional rights. And that's not in a docket. It was never ever referred to in a state's case. And if we start to do that, we will get back to the state's case and ambush tactics. We need, the state must show us what it is before we carry on. We as the defence team may not be isolated from it.
Yes, Mr.
My lady,
Mayor.
I'm not presenting it in a state's case. It's not in my docket. It is, however, relevant evidence based on the long character evidence led by the accused. We let no character evidence. We don't investigate a case on the character of the accused. But once the accused opens the avenues for character evidence, then one will lead that. But there's one other aspect. I asked the witness if he would like to see it. It's in the public domain. It was on Sky News. The witness himself said he would like to see it. That is why I presented it. But I never got up and tried to present something that I did not disclose to the defense. I asked this witness, my lady, would you like to see it? No, it's even better than that. The witness said, please show me the video.
Are you saying the defense team is not entitled to know in advance about this?
Well, my lady, it's not part of my case. It's part of my cross-examination. If the defense would like to stand down and see the video, I have no problem with that now. On that basis, I have no problem with it. But I'm doing it not as part of the evidence I'm leading. I'm leading it through this witness, and this witness indicated he would like to see it, and I'm willing to show it.
Yes, Mr.
The lady, no. There may be confusion about character evidence and the law pertaining to it. There is a section 197. But section 197, I will read it to you. It tells you that if the accused introduced evidence of character, he may be cross-examined on that. It does not allow the state to adduce evidence not forming part of the state's case. That's why there's a state case. You have a choice as a prosecutor to present what you think fit. Section 197 does not open the door. It opens the door to cross-examination, but not to presenting new evidence. I can read it to you if I may, my lady. It says, an accused who gives evidence at criminal proceedings shall not be asked or required to answer any questions tending to show that he has committed or has been convicted or has been charged with any offence other than the offence with which he is charged, or that he is of bad character. That is questions, not evidence. Unless he or his legal representative asks any question of any witness with a view to establishing his own good character, or he himself gives evidence of his own good character, or the nature or conduct of the defence is such as to involve imputation of the character of the complaint, or any other witness for the prosecution. Then you can ask questions. You cannot belatedly, in ambush, introduce evidence not introduced as part of the state's case. Section 197 does not provide for that.
As the court pleases, my lady, I note the section that we referred to. My lady, I asked a question. From that question, the witness wanted to see the video. Now, my lady, I can go through the video in questions. I can ask the question. If he shot at the watermelon and all those things, and I can bring it out. So if I'm allowed to ask questions about this, and the witness said, show me the best evidence, show me the video, and we'll ask questions after that, certainly, my lady, it is admissible. The question is it admissible? And the answer to that, my lady, it is admissible. The witness asked for it to be seen. It goes towards his character, my lady, that he opened up. So, my lady, my respectful submission is that the court will allow it, that the witness asks for it, that he see it, that we ask questions after that. Otherwise, my lady, it just, with the utmost respect to the court, it just doesn't make sense for me to ask questions about the video in detail and for the witness not to see it, having asked for it, my lady. So therefore, my lady, with the utmost respect, my argument is that it should be allowed as a court.
Mr. Roux, what's the difference between asking questions and showing the video?
He made a difference showing the Video is introducing evidence. That's not provided from Section 197.
Are you saying it's different from asking questions?
No, Milady may ask questions. I can't stop him from asking questions.
I'm
of
saying,
course.
are you saying it's different from asking questions?
Yes, it is, Milady, because now you introduce evidence. That's evidence if the state wanted it.
No, hold on. If you're asking questions, you're still introducing evidence, aren't you?
You introduce evidence from the accused himself. It's question-answer. But you may not introduce outside evidence. There's a rule against that. If it's not part of your state case, you cannot do it. Because that would be ambush. You must decide what you introduce as part of your state's case. Section 197, and I'm not objecting against him asking as many questions as you want. But you cannot, the moment you introduce the video, you introduce real evidence. You cannot do that, my lady.
What if the video goes with the questions, supports the questions?
My lady,
and
it would
answers.
be exactly the same as what you say. There's a witness saying that, and now you call the witness. What I put to you, there's a witness saying that, but I didn't call the witness. It will always go with the question, but you must decide. You cannot ambush. You must decide what you call in your state's case. You can ask questions as many as you like, as long as they're relevant. But that means whether you introduce a video, or whether you call that witness, it's the same. It's either real evidence or viva voce evidence. It's prohibited, my lady. You cannot do that.
You're saying it's inadmissible?
It's inadmissible, my lady, because you then present evidence not forming part of your case, contrary to Section 197. 197 does not open the gate for that. It opens the gate for cross-examination. Otherwise, the state can, because there's no difference between its evidence, real evidence in the form of a video, viva voce evidence, and calling a witness to saying a witness will say that. You have to do that in the state's case. You cannot come in the cross-examination of the accused and then start to introduce evidence. You can cross-examine. And what the state's doing, it's ambush. Why did he not do it? We know nothing about it. We hear it for the first time now. It's not part of the docket. It was not inserted in the docket. It's just new. And that's unfair. We're driving into an unfair procedure, and that's what I object against, my lady.
Yes, Mr. Knight.
My lady, I'm reiterating my argument, but my argument is if I can ask questions about a specific video, and the witness said, let me see it, it is so much safer, my lady, for everybody to see it before I ask the questions about it. It is exactly the same thing, my lady, with the utmost respect. If I ask a question about that video, or I show the video, it's exactly the same. My lady, but one step back. I think it's fair to everyone for us to see the video, so that I cannot put things to this witness that is not on the video. But, my lady, it goes one step back, and that is how this all happened. It happened, my lady, with the witness saying, can I see it? And I'm willing to let him see it. Are we now saying no? He's asking the court, or asking through the state, can I see it? We say yes. My lady, the principle is, can I deal with character evidence? We both agree, myself and Mr. Roux. I can now deal with character evidence. I'm saying, this is how I deal with character evidence. I can ask lots of questions about this video. Or I can show the video, my lady, but I'm not entering the video into evidence. I'm showing the witness the video, and then I'll ask questions about it. So on that basis, my lady, it's not new evidence. It's the witness saying, can I see the video? I'm saying, yes, let's see it, and then I'll ask him questions about it. Because the video as itself is not evidence. The questions that I'll be asking about the video will be the evidence. So that's I think it's admissible.
We'll take a few minutes adjournment. Unless you
Madam.
want to add something before.
Thank you, my lady.
Okay.
Anything else?